In this episode, we're going to talk about bartending schools. So one of the most common questions and one of the most common topics about learning bartending will always come back to bartending school. Is it worth it? What do you learn? Should you do it? Does it help you get a job? Is it bad or good on your resume? Which are all legitimate questions. If you've been following me on this channel or on the Bartending Blueprint blog, then you'll know that I have worked for a short period of time at a bartending school. First and foremost is that nothing that is taught in a bartending school can't be found online for free, especially if you're talking about recipes. Don't ever fall for the pitch that they have some special knowledge or insight that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. So that just comes back to the question of, are they necessary? And I personally never went to a school. I've worked with 20 to 25 different bartenders, and only one of them actually went to a bartending school. And that's not even a very good ratio. I mean, most bartenders that I've talked to, they've never gone to a school. So it's not something that's required. You definitely don't have to go to a bartending school to become a bartender. Now, the other kind of hook that bartending schools use to get you in is the license, right? Or the certification. This varies from state to state. However, there is no such thing as a bartending license. Now, I know people are gonna freak out. They're like, I have a certification that says bartending license on it. I'm gonna have another video coming out very soon if it's not already up. And just the quick answer for this is that those are serving, like responsible serving certifications. Those certifications or those state required licenses don't go into like pouring techniques or cocktail recipes. So it's not like a bartending license in the sense that you have to have a license to perform it as if you were like an architect or like a lawyer or like a truck driver. You know, there's certain certifications that are required nationwide before you can do this kind of work. Bartending is not one of those things. And any sort of certification or license that is required by your state is for responsible serving. So that's why I say there is no such thing as a bartending license. There's bartender certifications, but not like pouring licenses, right? Does that make sense? Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't really good schools out there that can teach you some really cool stuff, and that some establishments don't mind seeing that you've gone through some sort of formal training. So sometimes it can help you get a job. The fact that you went to a school and you have some sort of certification isn't going to get you a job for sure either. And sometimes it's actually a negative in people that try to point to that as experience, as opposed to someone who just comes in and is completely honest that like, hey, I have no experience. What I do like about bartending schools is that they give you confidence. And even though they are expensive and excessive in cost, they can give you a sort of just confidence that you have been behind a bar and you've practiced making drinks for somebody who's ordering them from you. And if you have the money to spend to get that comfort, then go for it. Otherwise, you can just do this at home for your friends, throw a party over the holidays, bring your family members over, and you can get practice that way. But really, I gotta tell you that the experience that you're gonna get behind a bar is only gonna happen behind a bar. There's no way around it. It's not a big deal. This is very simple, this is very basic. And just remember that bartending is more about customer service. Go watch that video about what makes a good bartender, and you'll see that almost none of it has to do with cocktails. So the thing with bartending school is they prey on the fact that they know that you think that you need to know a bunch of drinks to be a good bartender. That's my main beef with bartending schools. And so when they tell you that you need to know all this stuff in order to be a good bartender and in order to get a job, it reinforces that fear. It's a little bit of fear mongering, and I have a big problem with that. Then another big kind of hook that bartending schools use is that they have connections with managers in the area. And while this may be true with like one or two establishments, it's definitely not like they're plugged into every single bar and every single bar manager in town and they know exactly who's hiring. and that they can guarantee. If you ever hear the word guaranteed job, run. What's important to understand is that in this industry, most of these bars and establishments are so busy they don't have time to keep in touch with a bartending school that they largely probably don't respect anyway. Think about it from an establishment's point of view. If you ran a really busy bar and you just had business constantly nonstop, which means you're gonna have a lot of people applying to your establishment, probably most of them with at least some experience, you have no shortage of people showing up on a daily basis. Good bars and establishments will have people that will come in every single week, if not every single day, to apply. So why would they spend the time to keep in touch when they have all these potential hires coming into their establishment every single day? They wouldn't, and they don't. And so that's another kind of red flag if a place says, oh, we know all the managers in town and we know everybody who's hiring. They don't. Another thing that people that are pro bartending school will say is that, well, you have a professional who's there teaching you and they're looking over your shoulder and they're making sure that you're doing everything correctly. And while this is technically true in what they're supposed to be doing, generally that's not really the case. I was instructed when I was working at the school, we would go up there, we would go through the lessons, I would teach them through one time, then the students would pair up with other students, and then you would practice back and forth ordering drinks from each other. And I would occasionally glance around and make sure nobody's doing anything stupid or completely wrong. But basically, again, you're with a friend and you're teaching yourself. So then I would get asked, why would you pay to just learn how to make drinks with your friend? And the last thing that I'll say is that every type of bar that you work at, no matter how much experience you have, and no matter what type of bar that it is, you will always go through a training period. It's not like you go to an interview at a bar and get hired, and then the next day you just show up and clock in and they're like, okay, go, right? They teach you how they set up, how things work, how you close and clean and prep and do the books and split tips and who your locals are and what they like and the types of drinks that you make and the menu. You'll be able to study the menu and practice those drinks. So you'll go through a training period at any type of bar that you transition into. So it's not like you're expected to know everything from day one. But after all that, I do want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not necessarily against going to a bartending school. Just understand that it's not necessary and that it may or may not help you get a job. There is no such thing as a bartending license, and that any sort of experience that you do get in a bartending school is just gonna help give you confidence, and that's the main thing that you're gonna take out of it. So if you've ever personally gone to a bartending school, I'd love to hear about your experience. Or if you decided against bartending school, please share why as well. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And that'll do it for this episode. I'm Jason, this is making you a bartending pro. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. For more, check out these playlists. And subscribe to get new videos.